أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين خاتم النبيين أبي القاسم محمد وأهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين الذين أذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا. أما بعد فقد قال الله تبارك وتعالى وقوله الحق وهو أصدق القائلين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ويوم يعض الظالم على يديه يقول يا ليتني اتخذت مع الرسول سبيلا يا ويلتى ليتني لم أتخذ فلانا خليلا لقد أضلني عن الذكر بعد إذ جاءني وكان الشيطان للإنسان خذولا. صدق الله العلي العظيم. صلوات بيجي محمد وعلى Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. The verses that I recited are from Surah Furqan, verses 27, 28 and 29, in which a social conduct and a social etiquette are being addressed from the concept of regulations as far as friendship is concerned, then rights of brotherhood, and towards the end, peace and reconciliation. These are the topics that this one particular, or these three ayat are addressing in particular. It says, and the day the wrongdoer will bite on his hands in regret. You know, when you're regretting something, or you're anxious about something, or you're sweating, or you're worried, some people have the habit of biting their finger or biting their nails. It said, on that day, wrongdoer will bite on his hands in regret and say, oh, I wish I had taken with the messenger away. Woe to me, I wish I had not taken that one as a friend. He held me away from the remembrance after it had come to me, and ever is shaitan a deserter. So we find how insan leaves that blame onto shaitan towards the end because of him choosing him to be his friend, taking him to be as his khalil, taking him to be as his, into his friendship. And if you remember, a couple of nights ago, before the majlis of Bibi Khadija salamullahi alayha last night, we had discussed in details in regards to Ummat-e-Wasat and the concept of moderation. And in that concept of moderation, I left off when I was talking about how there are 5 steps of us becoming shaitan. And we went and we discussed how we let shaitan come from outside. Then when we give him way, he invokes from within. يُوَسْوِسُ فِي صُدُورِ النَّاسِ. And then when we let him inside the from within, we become friends with him, قَرِينًا لِلشَّيْطَانِ. And then once we become qareen with shaitan, then we become akhwan al-shayateen, the friends or the brothers of shaitan. And then lastly, ash-shayateen al-jinn wal-ins. We ourselves become shaitan self. So here there was 5 steps that were mentioned, which are basically metaphorically addressing how we become so glued and how we fall prey and victim to the trap of shaitan. So I left off with it saying that how does shaitan influence our thoughts? And I didn't get a chance to finish that thought. Some people said maybe you can conclude it at another time. There were 3 things that are important to finish up that topic, but is also related to one that we are speaking tonight. How does shaitan influence our thoughts? Number 1, the beautification of ugly deeds, ugly actions. What shaitan does, he wraps it around in a nice, beautiful casing, and then he presents it to you. And when it looks beautiful, it's pleasing to eyes, its smell is good, person goes for it. And that ugly deed is beautified by shaitan. So we see that shaitan makes ugly deeds seem beautiful so that people begin to gravitate towards them. This phenomena is referred to in the Quran as the confounding of truth and falsehood. It says, وَلَا تَلْبِسُوا الْحَقَّ بِالْبَاطِلِ. The concept of libas was discussed as well. Do not, confound the talbisul haqqa bil batil. Beautifying ugly deeds is a relatively easy task to conform to base human desires. It is also for this reason that the following verse was revealed. It said, فَزَيَّنَ لَهُمُ الشَّيْطَانِ أَعْمَالَهُم فَهُوَ وَلِيُّهُمُ الْيَوْمِ. Chapter 16, verse number 63. Shaitan made their actions seem beautiful to them, to human beings, and then diverted them from Allah's path. So the beautification of the actions makes it so presentable that you are gravitated towards it, and then you end up doing it, only to later realize that it was qubh amal. It was not an action to be performed. Number 2, false promise. That's how he gets in and he penetrates. That's false promises. By making false promises and encouraging one's far-fetched hopes. We all have hopes, and it's not harmful to have hopes, because if you don't have hopes and dreams, you're not going to be able to accomplish anything in your life. So you got to have hopes. You got to have dreams, but those which are respectable, those dreams which are relevant, those dreams which are that you're capable of taking care of. But because you have higher hopes of things that you will never be able to get to, that's just sort of misleading yourself. So you got to have those dreams which you can easily accomplish. So hope is very important for your life. There are 2 things that are important: fear and hope. If you have this combination of fear and hope, you'll be able to keep balance and checks and balances for yourself. Because fear and hope are kind of like the 2 pedestals that you have in your car, the brake and the accelerator. Brake stops you from falling into ditch, or stops you from going too fast, or protects you, while speed, it makes you move forward, but with controlled speed, so that you're not getting into any accident or anything of that sort. So this is where he comes in, and these false promises, by making false promises, letting us know that these far-fetched desires and hopes you will be able to accomplish. So shaitan keeps a person's mind engaged in thoughts that are far from reality. So you have to have dreams which are realistic. You cannot make dreams and hopes which are unrealistic. As a result, the person remains heedless of Allah. The following verse was revealed for this phenomena. وَمَا يَعِدُهُمُ الشَّيْطَانُ إِلَّا غُرُورًا. Surah An-Nisa 120. Shaitan promises them and compels them to entertain far-fetched hopes. Exactly what the concept is mentioning. Previous ayah was shaitan beautifies the action. فَزَيَّنَ. This ayah says shaitan makes them go after these far-fetched dreams. Number 3, how does shaitan influence our thoughts? Fear. By giving us this fear, by increasing fear in us. Another one of his tricks is to frighten people about future. As soon as you want to do something good, he's going to come and he's going to frighten you. And you got to keep some for your family. Why are you giving so much out in charity? Why are you helping your neighbor? Why are you giving it to the masjid? Why are you giving it to Imam Baraka? Why are you doing this? Well, forget about yourself. What are you going to do tomorrow? What if you're not able to earn? Well, you got to go ahead and save. You got to go ahead and protect. Keep it to your family. All of these thoughts come to your mind. So he's making you what? Afraid. Afraid of doing something good. And not just monetary. All these actions which you would do, it'll stop you to go ahead and create this fear inside of you. So such fear results in hopelessness, cynicism in Islam or in Allah, lack of trust in Allah, and finally complete abstention from the benevolent actions. For instance, shaitan frightens people of poverty to such an extent that they are driven towards miserliness. Again, Surah Baqarah 268, it says, "Ash-shaytanu ya'idukum al-faqr wa ya'murukum bil-fahsha. Wallahu ya'idukum maghfirah." What does it happen? It says shaitan threatens you with poverty and enjoins you towards sin. So these were the 3 steps that I did not get a chance to mention the other night, and so just wanted to get that out of the way. Now getting to the discussion of the night, inshallah, in the next 25 minutes that I have. Social etiquettes and concept of brotherhood as well as reconciliation, which is being addressed in this particular ayah or these ayat of Surah Furqan. Islam has given guidelines for choosing a friend, recognizing the way to choose one, boundaries of friendship, etiquettes of sociability, and the rights of a friend. It has also encouraged us to befriend with certain types of people as well as discouraged us from certain individuals. For example, we read in a hadith that says, فَمَنِ اشْتَبَهَ عَلَيْكُمْ أَمْرُهُ وَلَمْ تَعْرِفُوا دِينَهُ فَانْظُرُوا إِلَى خُلَطَائِهِ. If you're unable to recognize someone, you're unable to. There are certain people you just can't figure them out. So you're unable to figure them out, what do then? If you're unable to recognize someone and have doubts about them, look at his close friends, his or her close friends. They will be able to give you an idea of what kind of person that person himself is. When that person is such a hidden personality that he does not reveal himself, and you're having a hard time making this choice, then look at his khulata, look at his friends. They will be able to better inform you, what kind of person this individual is. Because being lonely is better than being with a bad friend. Not a lone wolf, no, lonely over here in the sense that instead of being in a bad company, you're better off being alone. Although there's karaha to sleep alone at night, and all those karaha to be alone, because that's when shaitan has the maximum opportunity to intervene and penetrate. But nonetheless, being with a bad company, you're better off being alone. Prophet of Islam, Hazrat Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, when he was asked, who is the best friend? Do we ever look for these qualities? He responded by saying, someone when you meet him reminds you of Allah. His speech increases your knowledge, and his character awakens your conscience about Qiyamah. So if I find something like this, I'm going to stay away from such a person. Can you talk about something else aside from God and Qiyamah and all of these things all the time? Let's talk sports, let's talk this, let's talk that. Well, there's nothing wrong talking sports and other stuff, as long as the company of that individual that you're with is increasing your knowledge and your consciousness, making you God wary, and obviously in regards to Qiyamah, keeping that check. So therefore he reminds you of Allah. Not that he's always quoting hadith after hadith after ayat after ayat. No, that's not what is mentioned over here. You sit with a person, he's throwing tens of hadiths at you, like, okay, no, there's another story. That person may be trying to impress himself, impress to you or whatever. But it means that whenever they open their mouth, whenever they're speaking, it's not out of bounds. It's within that boundary which God has set, and therefore he reminds you of Allah every time he opens his mouth. It increases your knowledge and as well as makes you conscious about Qiyamah. According to Prophet, that is the best friend. Now it's very difficult to find such individuals as friends. That is why it is ibadat to sit with ulama. Why? Well, again, you got to categorize ulama. It is ibadah to sit with ulama. That's why you make an effort when you go to Iraq and you go to Iran. You get to see the marajah. You really understand that they are ulama. The ilm is really surrounding in that area where they're sitting, and you can feel it. So therefore, it says it is ibadah to sit with the scholars, as they do exactly what this hadith is saying. They talk about God. They increase your knowledge and they make you conscious about Qiyamah. Amir al-Mu'mineen, Imam al-Muttaqeen, Ali ibn Abi Talib gave a criterion for distinguishing friends from enemies. He said, well, first of all, when it comes to distinguishing mu'min and munafiq, Amir al-Mu'mineen himself is the criteria, right? So they say, well, how do you recognize mu'min from munafiq? Well, you look at if he has love for Ali or grudge for Ali. So if there's love for Ali, right away, that person is mu'min. If there's grudge for Ali, right away. And that's why, when Shafi'i was asked about it, Imam Shafi'i was asked about this, that hadith of our Prophet, he says, Ali qasimun nari wal jannah. He said, and he defended, Shafi'i defended, he being a Sunni, he defended it. He said, yeah, Ali is qasimun nar wal jannah. He said, how's that possible? That Ali is going to be dividing, deciding between paradise and hell, that who gets to go to paradise and who gets to go to hell. He said, no, look at the hadith from this aspect. Then Prophet said, Hubbu Ali, that Hubbu Ali is what? Iman wa bughduhu kufr. He said, yes. He said, love of Ali is Iman, and hatred towards Ali is what? Kufr. He said, therefore, whoever loves Ali will be entering. Mu'min will be the one going to the Jannat, and Kafir and Munafiq is someone who's going to enter the hell. So therefore, right away, this hadith is in parallel with this, that Aliyun qasimun nare wal Jannah. Amir al-Mu'mineen gave a criterion of distinguishing friends from enemies. He said, when you become weak, financially, socially, other aspects of your life, and lose all the power that you had, your real friends will be recognized from your enemies. Those who stand by you, those who stick around. Remember in that majlis we had talked about that God tests everyone. Everyone is tested. Alif Lam Mim, ahasiba an-nas an yutraku an yaqulu amanna wa hum la yuftanu. That the people think that they have said they brought Iman, they will not be tested. No, that is not the case. They will be tested. Everyone is tested. So one of the questions was towards the end, when I test someone, for example, I'm a teacher, I've taught in a class, I'm testing my pupils, my students, because I am unaware of their level of knowledge, how much they have learned, how much they have studied. And there's always that person who may show that they're not interested in the class at all, but at the end, last day, they'll study so hard, they'll get good grades. So you still gotta go ahead and test them. Because you can't just make up your mind, okay, I know these people are very good, but these people are not, because I have gone through the entire semester. But you still got to give the test. So the test is basically reflecting on the ignorance of the teacher, because teacher is ignorant about the level of understanding of the students. But it's God. Why does God need to test? Alimun bi dhat as-sudur. Ala kulli shay'in qadir. He knows, he's aware of that which is in our hearts, that which is hidden. Why does God need to test? So one of the reasons is what? When God tests us, it is to push us to the limits so we're able to recognize our inner hidden abilities. Because if I'm not pushed to the limits, I will never be able to understand if I can or cannot do something. That rigorous training the military and army go through, why? Because maybe one day they'll have to go to combat and they'll face that. But they may not face it all their lives. But still they have to go through that difficult and rigorous training to get to that level. So if you're not going to pass that, that means you're not going to be able to do so in the real life situation. So God tests us so that we can recognize ourselves. Second reason, God tests us so we can recognize those in our surrounding. So people that are in our surrounding, we're able to recognize them. When I'm going through a difficult time, who is standing by me and who has left me stranded? Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. So similarly, we read in some other traditions, the other methods of recognizing friends is to test your friend when they're angry. With, for example, money. While traveling, all of these, when you travel with someone, you figure so many things out about that person. Why? Because being at home, you're at ease. You're at the comfort of your house. You're in your hometown. Everything, anything that you need is within your reach. But when you're traveling, you're short-handed. Many things are not within your reach. And therefore, this is where the real picture, the real face of the person will come out. When you're traveling with them, the good and the bad of that person will be very obvious to you. And the Shair said in Farsi very beautifully, Tatawani mi guriz az yaribad. Yaribad battar buvad az maribad. Avoid a bad friend as much as you can. A bad friend is worse than a serpent, a snake. He said, Maribad tanha turabar jan zanat. He said, a serpent would only take your life. Yaribad barjano bar iman zanat. A bad friend not only will take your life, but also take your iman as well. So while the serpent is only going to kill you, a bad friend is going to kill your iman as well. So that's the worst possible thing that could happen to you. So as much as possible, avoid bad company. And this is where we see in this ayat also the concept of brotherhood is being explained that إنما المؤمنون إخوة فأصلحوا بين أخويكم واتقوا الله لعلكم ترحمون, that faithful are indeed brothers, therefore make peace between your brothers and be wary of Allah so that you may receive His mercy. This verse considers the relationship of mu'mineen with one another, of that of brothers, because the relationship of friendship of two brothers is deep and strong. Between them is both sides, and it's not just from one side. It's something which exists from both sides. Friendship between them is instinctive and natural, and not because of any worldly or materialistic attraction, and because the root of them is same, one and only. And therefore Allah is comparing the akhwan, the brothers in faith, similar to those who are brothers in real life. So in various hadiths, this is how they look at it. And so brotherhood, one of the distinctions of Islam is that it mentions the terminologies from their roots. And for example, when Quran talks about who does the izzat and the honor belong to, it says, Inna li'izzata lillahi jamia. Indeed, all the might belongs to Allah. All the might. Although you would not find the word all in this ayah. The word all in Arabic would be what? In Urdu, tamam or kul, right? This, which is the same in, but all of these words are same in Arabic. So it could have said, for example, inna kulla li'izza lillahi, or inna tamam al-izza lillahi. But you don't find that word tamam in there, because the word al-izza with alif lam istidrak, which is encompassing, which is excluding everyone in it, and the fact that the word izzah is used in its root form, it gives you the meaning that indeed all the might belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. All the honor belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Moreover, it says, Innal quwwata lillahi jamia. That quwwat is all that belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In the above verse, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also uses the root word, the faithful are indeed brothers. Innamal mu'minuna what? Ikhwa. It's using the same root word, which is the root for root for brotherhood. So in Islam, originality is that it presents us with the perfect method of brotherhood. In the beginning of Islam, Prophet Islam had migrated with 740 people from Mecca to Medina, and upon arriving there was this the brotherhood was established between different people, between Ansar and Muhajirin, or sometime between just Muhajirin themselves or between Ansar themselves, just so that there's this harmony or this brotherhood is taking place. So many of them were united with others. For example, Salman with Abu Dhar, Talha with Zubair, Mus'ab with Abu Ayyub al-Ansari, Hamza and Zayd ibn al-Haritha, Abu Darda and Bilal, and Jafar al-Tayyar and Ma'ad ibn Jabal, Miqdad with Ammar. And then Prophet and Amir al-Mu'mineen were put into this brotherhood. So Prophet chose Ali ibn Abi Talib to be his brother, and that concept of brotherhood was mentioned over there. And that is the reason that in the Battle of Uhud, Prophet Muhammad gave instructions, when the two martyrs by the name Abdullah ibn Amr ibn Hizam and Amr al-Jamuh, they were both in their brotherhood lock. When they both passed away, Prophet said, bury them in the same grave. Because they were brothers in this life, they will be buried together, and so they will be brothers in the hereafter as well. So the blood relations will end one day. Quran says, فَلَا أَنْسَابَ بَيْنَهُمْ. There shall be no ties or relationship between them, but the brother faith is real and will remain even after Qiyamah. It says, أَخْوَانُنَا أَخْوَانًا عَلَى سُرُرٍ مُتَقَابِلِينَ. Brothers reclining on thrones facing one another. So friendship and brotherhood should only be for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If a person befriends someone for some other benefits, soon those benefits expire, soon this friendship and this brotherhood will also cease to exist. So you find that what is more important than making someone brother is keeping them brothers. In Farsi, in Iran, there used to be the saying, mushtari dashtan cheezi wa mushtari mandan cheeze digar. That having a customer is one thing and keeping a customer is another thing. You can have a lot of customers show up at your shop, but to keep them, your customers, for a long, long time is another skill. So you'd rather go for those who are your constant customers or continuously your customer, rather than someone who just shows up once in a while. I mean, our sixth Imam, Imam Jafar as-Sadiq alayhi said that mu'min is brother of another mu'min. They are like one body, and if any part of the body gets sick, it is the other parts can also feel the pain of it. So there are many rights that are mentioned. So you say, well, you know, brothers, yeah, we are mu'mineen and we're brothers of one another. Are there any obligations as well? Yeah, there are rights that have been mentioned in riwayat. For example, Prophet said there are 30 rights of a Muslim on his Muslim brother, and every one of these must be fulfilled. There are 30 rights that are mentioned, and every one of them must be fulfilled. If I was to go ahead and mention all of these 30, it'll take quite some time. Sallu ala Muhammad wa alayhi. So I'll skip these rights. So the fact that we don't know these rights, it will not be obligatory upon us. The fact that we learn them right away, we'll have to start working on it. Inshallah, at another time I'll mention them. I have them written right here, over here, 15 of them, but I'll skip them for the brevity of time. Peace and reconciliation. That was the last discussion of this ayat, or these ayat, that I had recited in front of you, and as well as this ayat from Surah Hujurat, which talked about innamal mu'minuna ikhwa, that mu'minun are ikhwa. Faslihu, go ahead and reform between them. Faslihu bayna akhwaykum, cause reconciliation between your brothers. Islam has emphasized a great deal on peaceful and healthy lifestyle. One of the favors of Allah mentioned in Quran is love and affection. وَاذْكُرُوا نِعْمَةَ اللَّهِ عَلَيْكُمْ إِذْ كُنْتُمْ عَادَانَ فَأَلَّفَ بَيْنَ قُلُوبِكُمْ فَأَصْبَحْتُمْ بِنِعْمَتِهِ إِخْوَانًا. Again, the concept of ikhwan is mentioned here. This is Surah Al Imran, verse number 103. The famous ayat which begins with the concept of Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Whenever you talk about unity, this ayat begins. It's actually known as the ayat of unity. That's where this ayat begins from. So you have ayat number 102 of Surah Al Imran, and 103. وَاعْتَصِمُوا بِحَبْلِ اللَّهِ جَمِيعًا. So it's the beginning of that ayat is وَاعْتَصِمُوا بِحَبْلِ اللَّهِ جَمِيعًا وَلَا تَفَرَّقُوا وَاذْكُرُوا نِعْمَةَ اللَّهِ عَلَيْكُمْ إِذْ كُنْتُمْ أَعْدَاءً. Remember the favors of Allah upon you when you were what? Enemies of one another. فَأَلَّفَ بَيْنَ قُلُوبِكُمْ. He united your hearts. فَأَصْبَحْتُمْ بِنِعْمَتِهِ إِخْوَانًا. And you became brothers because of this love and the favor of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we see that this is one of the favors of Allah. This verse was revealed for Aus and Khazraj, reminding them of their enmity and how God saved them from being at the brink of pit of fire. Similarly, when others try to bring peace and harmony into the lives of those who are struggling, they'll receive these special privileges as well. وَسَإِن تَصْلِحُوا وَتَتَّقُوا فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ كَانَ غَفُورًا رَحِيمًا. If you are conciliatory and God-wary, God indeed is forgiving and merciful towards you. So Islam laid down special laws for reconciling. I know many of us are involved in this concept, reconciling between, husband and wife, reconciliation between, parents and children, reconciliation between siblings, for example. All these different reconciling exist in our society, part of the society. Why? There's so many difficulties that we face, and there's so many differences that come about, and because of these differences that come about, there's someone needs to continuously reconcile, bring them together. But unfortunately, many people, instead of bringing them together, they cause even further fitna to go ahead and divide them. They go ahead and divide them. Remember that story of Hazrat Isa alayhi salatu wasalam, that he said in one of his to his companions, to his disciples, he said that what if you found a man sleeping and some of his body parts were exposed? So for example, people used to lay in the masajid or the church or synagogues or places of worship, they'll be sleeping over there. And if they're sleeping, for example, some of their body parts are exposed, or that too, maybe a private part is exposed. What are you going to do at that time? Everybody said, well, we're going to cover it. If we pass by someone who's laying and sleeping, obviously they have no idea what's happening, and some of their body parts are exposed, which is, bad, so we're going to go ahead and cover it. Hazrat Isa responded by saying, La falat, takshifuna, bal takshifuna. No, you're not going to cover it. And actually, you're going to go ahead and expose them even further. You say, no, astaghfirullah. If someone is laying like that and their body parts is exposed, we're not going to go ahead and reveal more. We're going to cover it. They understood that Hazrat Isa was giving an example. He was setting an analogy for them. He said, that's what you do in real life. When you hear about someone's secrets, instead of putting a lid on it, you go ahead and share it with others. You're exposing that person further. This is where you should have gone ahead and closed the chapter. If you heard it from somewhere, unknown source, reliable source, whatever the case may be. But if it's hurting that person, then you should go ahead and close the deal over there. You should not pass it on further. The fact that we share it with others, we are takshifun. We are actually exposing that person even further. So Islam laid down special laws as far as reconciling is concerned. Use these things when you come across in your family circle, when you come across in your community, and you find that there are people who are at odds. You know, parents are at odds with their children, for example. Spouses are at odds with one another. All of these problems that are growing problems, growing pains of our society exist. And if you can play that role of reconciliation, you know, the rewards for it. Forget about the rewards which are there as an incentive. But how good of an act this is, that you're able to bring certain people together. For that, there are special laws. And you'll find it in fiqh. In fact, laws were broken for the case of reconciling. Certain things which are not permissible are made permissible for the sake of reconciliation between two individuals. For example, lying is amongst the major sins. Yes? It's amongst the major sins. We don't think that it is gunahan kabira, but it is amongst the major sins. But if one lies to bring peace and harmony between two, there's no sin and there's no crime. La kizba ala al-muslih. There's no lie for the one who's reconciling two people. Number two, whispering and speaking secretly is denounced in Islam and is considered an act of shaitan. But if it is done for a good reason, such as bringing two people closer, for example, you go ahead and say something in their ear, and then you go ahead and say something in their ear. You're whispering. Najwa, right? Whispering is not good. If you're sitting here in public right here, we're all of us sitting here, let it be heard so that everybody knows what you're talking about. I don't want a few people over there gossiping and whispering, few people over here gossiping and whispering. No, let everyone know. This is not right. But if you're doing this for reconciling, then it says what? It says, La khayra fi kathirin min najwahum illa man amara bis sadaqatin aw ma'rufin aw islahin bayna nas. It said there's no good in much of their secret talks excepting him who enjoins charity and what is right or reconciliation between two people. Surah Nisa, verse number 114. So Quran is giving you the permission to whisper while you're going to go ahead and cause reconciling between two people. Breaking a covenant entails kafara, right? You made a covenant that I made another to do so and so thing. You don't fulfill that another, which is another wajib. What do you have to do? You have to pay kafara. And it's considered haram. Except when person who had vowed not to reconcile between two people later breaks his vow, there's nothing upon him. وَلَا تَجْعَلُ اللَّهَ أُرْضَةً لِأَيْمَانِكُمْ. Allah will not, charge you for that ayman, that covenant that you have broken. Number 4, executing the will is wajib and not fulfilling it is haram, except when the will is made to induce disturbance and cause discord amongst the family members and the people. At that time, it is okay for the executor to go ahead and alter the will or not to go ahead and execute the way it should be executed. It says in Surah Baqarah 182, فَمَنْ خَافَ مِنْ مُوسٍ جَنَفًا أَوْ إِثْمًا فَأَصْلَحَ بَيْنَهُمْ فَلَا إِثْمَ لَهُ. It said, but should someone fearing deviance or sins on the testator's behalf set things right between them, there's no sin upon him. So these 4 laws are actually broken. Lying in this sense is permissible. Whispering is permissible. Breaking a covenant is permissible. And changing the testator's will is permissible if it's going to bring people together. Salawat bi Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. You know, ties based on religion, so much importance is placed upon. When Prophet ascended to Miraj, he said, I saw 3 lines written on the arsh of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And first was that Ana Allah, La ma'buda illa ana, that I'm the Lord and there's no ma'bud except me. There was another line which I forgot. And third line was that as-sadaqatu ashara wal-qardu ithna ashar wa silatul rahim talatin. It says sadaqah has 10-fold reward. When you give qarz to someone, loan someone some money, which you're going to take back later on, has 18 rewards, 18-fold, 18 times. And silatul rahim, 30. He said, that doesn't make any sense. We've been emphasizing so much on sadaqah. How come sadaqah is the least of all of these? He said, well, when you give sadaqah, you don't know whose hand it's going to reach. Whether that person is in need or not in need. Many a time we take out sadaqah, right? At home, you have a practice of taking out sadaqah every single day. It's a good practice. And then we go ahead and send it to some impoverished country. We send it back home. We send it to Iraq. We send it to Pakistan. We send it to India. We send it somewhere, Afghanistan, where maybe money is needed. But God knows where it ends up being. Person who was really in need, or they could have been people who were more in need. So, as-sadaqah to ashra, there are 10 rewards for sadaqah, the least. When you give qarz to someone with the intention of taking it back, but because you know this person is in need, that you're helping. So therefore there's 18 rewards for that. And then lastly, silatul rahim. When you help someone within the family and you do what? Enjoin, or you connect the ties, in other words. Qat'i rahim is breaking the ties, sila rahim is connecting the ties. When you connect the ties, there's 30 rewards for that. Why? Because you got to take care of your family first. And that's where we understand that this is the hadith that Prophet said was written on top of the arsh of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Salawat bi Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. So there are different types of ties that are mentioned in Quran, and I will conclude inshallah in the next 35 seconds. One, educational ties with a scholar. Fas'alu ahla dhikr in kuntum la ta'lamun. So your ties with those who are scholars. Social ties with people. Isbiru wa sabiru wa rabitu. Make sure that you have this rabita with people. Emotional ties with parents. وَبِالْوَالِدَيْنِ إِحْسَانًا. This ihsan, this kindness is the emotional tie that you have with them. Financial ties with the needy. مَنْ ذَا الَّذِي يُقْرِضُ اللَّهَ قَرْضًا حَسَنًا. So you're connected with those who are need. Consultative ties in running an institution. وَشَاوِرْهُمْ فِي الْأَمْرِ. Allah is ordering you to go out and do mashwarat. There's a tie. These ties are with you and those people that you are doing mashwarat with. Political ties with the leaders. وَأَطِيعُوا اللَّهَ وَأَطِيعُوا الرَّسُولَ وَأُولِي الْأَمْرِ مِنْكُمْ. You take Allah out of this picture. أَطِيعُوا الرَّسُولَ, your political and religious leader, and أُولِي الْأَمْرِ مِنْكُمْ, your political and your religious leader. So you have ties with them. What is the tie? That you have to be obedient to them. That's the connection between them and you. All-encompassing ties with believers. إِنَّمَا الْمُؤْمِنُونَ what? Ikhwa. Mu'minun are ikhwa and brothers with one another. So that's the connection between them. And spiritual ties with awliya Allah. لَقَدْ كَانَ لَكُمْ فِي رَسُولُ اللَّهِ أُسْوَةٌ حَسَنَةٌ. This uswa hasana with Rasulullah, with awliya Allah, is your connection with him. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that he gives us a tawfiq and ability to act upon this verse or these verses of Surah Furqan and Surah Hujurat, and make us, cause reconciliation amongst our brothers and sisters, and be not amongst those who cause separation amongst brothers and sisters. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillah rabbil alameen.
Subhanallah walhamdulillah wa la ilaha illallah wallahu akbar. Allahu الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمد رسول الله أشهد أن محمد رسول الله أشهد أن أمير المؤمنين وإمام المتقين عليا ولي الله أشهد أن أمير المؤمنين وإمام المتقين عليا حجة الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح حي على خير العمل حي على خير العمل الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله
اللهم صل على مولانا وجهه ومصطفى وكرم برحمتك يا ارحم الراحمين محمد وآل محمد الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن عليا ولي الله أشهد أن عليا حجة الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح حي على خير العمل حي على خير العمل قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله الله أكبر بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إنا أعطيناك الكوثر فصل لربك وانحر إن شانئك هو الأبتر الله أكبر سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده سمع الله لمن حمده الله أكبر سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده الله الله أكبر أستغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده الله أكبر بحول الله وقوته يقوم ويقعد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد ذلك الله ربي الله أكبر اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد ربنا افرغ علينا صبرا وثبت أقدامنا وانصرنا على القوم الكافرين بجاه محمد وآله الطاهرين الله أكبر سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده سمع الله لمن حمد الله أكبر سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده الله أكبر استغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه الله أكبر سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده الله أكبر الحمد لله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد الله وقوته يقوم ويقعد الله أكبر سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده سمع الله لمن حمده الله أكبر سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده الله أكبر استغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده يا لطيف ارحم عبدك الضعيف الله أكبر الحمد لله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد السلام عليكم النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته الله أكبر الله أكبر الله
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا علي يا عظيم يا غفور يا رحيم أنت رب العظيم الذي ليس كمثله شيء وهو السميع البصير وهذا شهر عظمته وكرمته وشرفته وفضلته على الشهور وهو شهر الذي فرضت صيامه عليه وهو شهر رمضان الذي أنزلت فيه القرآن هدى للناس وبينات من الهدى والفرقان وجعلت فيه ليلة القدر وجعلتها خير من ألف شهر فيا ذا المن ولا يمن عليك من علي بفكاك رقبتي من النار في من تمن علي وأدخلني الجنة برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين
please recite a Surah Fatiha for all the Marhumin, especially the Marhumin of the sponsors of today's iftar and all the Shuhada of Islam.
الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن عليا ولي الله أشهد أن عليا حجة الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح حي على خير العمل حي على خير العمل قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله صلاة العشاء الله أكبر بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر الله أكبر سبحان الله سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده سمع الله لمن حمده الله أكبر سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده الله أكبر استغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه الله أكبر سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده الله أكبر بحول الله وقوته يقوم ويقول بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد ذلك الله ربي اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار بجاه محمد وآله الأطهار الله أكبر سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده سمع الله لمن حمده الله أكبر سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده الله أكبر استغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه الله أكبر سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده الله أكبر الحمد لله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد بحول الله وقوته يقوم ويقول الله أكبر سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده سمع الله لمن حمده الله أكبر سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده الله أكبر لا قوة يقول وقوت الله أكبر سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده سمع الله لمن حمده الله أكبر سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده الله أكبر أستغفر الله وأتوب إليه الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده يا لطيف ارحم عبدك الضيف الله أكبر الحمد لله الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد السلام عليك أيها النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته الله أكبر
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم ادخل على أهل القبور السرور اللهم أغن كل فقير اللهم أشبع كل جائع اللهم اكس كل عريان اللهم اغفر دين كل مدين اللهم فرج عن كل مكروب اللهم رد كل غريب اللهم فك كل أسير اللهم أصلح كل فاسد من الأمور المسلمين اللهم اشف كل مريض اللهم سد فقرنا بغناك اللهم غير سوء حالنا بحسن حالك اللهم اغض عنا الدين واغننا من الفقر إنك على كل شيء قدير
السلام عليك يا رسول الله السلام عليك يا نبي الله السلام عليك يا حبيب الله السلام عليك يا خيرة الله السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله السلام عليك يا ابن رسول الله السلام عليك وعلى جدك وأبيك وعلى أمك وأخيك ورحمة الله وبركاته السلام عليك يا غريب الغرباء السلام عليك يا معين الضعفاء والفقراء السلام عليك يا شمس الشموس وأنيس النفوس أيها المدفون بأرض الطوصلي ابن موسى رضا ورحمة الله وبركاته السلام عليك يا صاحب الأسر والزمان السلام عليك يا إمام الإنس والجان السلام عليك يا خليفة الرحمن أجل الله تعالى فرجك وسهل الله مخرجك وظهورك وجعلنا من أعوانك وأنصارك ورحمة الله وبركاته